Every year we lose another group of individuals who made contributions to our community in their own unique ways, great and small. And every year there are far too many to name this time of year. It's no different this time around. But with the help of producer Nathan Bryant and video editor Steve Womack, I pulled together a tribute of 17 of those special people. In 2025, Kern County lost a number of pioneers. We lost veterans of World War II and Vietnam, giants of education, pillars of the business community, and many examples of devotion to family and community. Here, in roughly chronological order, are but a few of them. If you grew up in Bakersfield in the 1970s and 80s, you no doubt heard his voice. Doug DeRue was a wild and kooky radio celebrity with a wickedly quick wit and a virtuoso touch on the turntable. Alone or paired with a succession of co-hosts, he dominated the rock and roll airwaves. Doug DeRue died January 6th at the age of 73. DeRue was not the only radio DJ we lost this year. Chuck Dennis also spun those platters, but in his long, colorful career, Dennis was also a stuntman, emergency medical technician, rural fire chief, and in his last decade in the working world, a photojournalist here at the local NBC affiliate KGET. Chuck Dennis died on January 29th, just 70. Former Bakersfield police officer Joseph Taylor died March 7th at the age of 83. Taylor began his career with the Bakersfield Police Department in 1965, serving until he retired as a detective in 1995. Kenneth Schultz, a Wasco native, served in the Army Reserves from 1965 to 1971 as a sergeant and liked to say he fought the Battle of North Chester Avenue. In 1968, he began his insurance career and went on to serve on the board of directors of the Bakersfield Association of Independent Insurance Agents, eventually as president. He died March 31st at age 84. Don Gailey, longtime owner of Gailey's Marine Supply, died April 15th at the age of 93. Gailey's Marine Supply opened in 1938 with Gailey's father, Otto Gailey, at the helm. The original location was on Bernard Street. It moved to the Bakersfield Auto Mall in 1999 and to Northwest Bakersfield this year. Gailey's, one of about 5,000 boat suppliers in the United States, is the oldest dealership under one continuous ownership in California, a distinction the company has held for 2 decades or more. Jim Young, the former longtime chancellor of the Kern Community College District, died May 5th at the age of 86, 4 days after the district dedicated the new library of Bakersfield's Arvin campus in his honor. The youngest child of Texas farm laborers who followed the Dust Bowl migration to Arvin, James C. Young was a tireless worker for the underprivileged, for the immigrant, for the underdog. He served as KCCD chancellor for 21 years, starting in 1978, but never stopped working to better the community. Former Taft College baseball pitcher Jesse Lubanecki died from a traffic accident in Montana on March 30th. Lubanecki had just finished his sophomore season and had signed a letter of intent to play for Florida National University in Miami. Former Kern County Fire Chief Bob Letrick, perhaps the last link to the Kern County Fire Department's golden era, died on June 25th, just 2 months after celebrating his gala 100th birthday party. He worked alongside Kern County's very first fire chief, Harold Boway, and was the last firefighter to be able to make that claim, and then rose to the rank of chief himself. Letrick, a World War II veteran, joined the Navy at age 17 and served in the Pacific Theater. 2 local veterans of note passed away within a few days of each other last summer, veterans of different eras and very different experiences with at least one thing in common. They were women who took unique paths to their service. American Legion Post 221 Commander Lynn Eckert, a Marine Corps veteran and energetic, persuasive ambassador for the Kern County Honor Flight program, died July 5th at age 71. A Vietnam War-era Marine, she served the Tehachapi Area American Legion for 7 years. And Louise Ruth Carpenter Lewis, who kept the home hearth warm and the flying fortresses aloft during World War II, died June 23rd at 100. Lewis was barely 18 and a senior at Kern County Union High School when she took a job riveting the wings of B-17 Flying Fortress bombers. Yes, she was an original Rosie the Riveter. Louis Louis Lefevre, a World War II veteran, landed at Normandy with the 29th Infantry Division in 1944 and was awarded 2 Bronze Stars for valor in combat and 2 Purple Hearts. He completed his military service in Berlin, where his cleverness and charm were as memorable as his courage. He died July 22nd at the age of 100. Richard and Wanda Lawler were both in their mid-80s when they died a day apart. They were married for 64 years and still in love at the end. Wanda died July 15th at the age of 84. She had a one-day head start on her husband, Richard, 87. Richard was an advertising executive in Chicago and Los Angeles, and after staying home with their boys a few years, Wanda went into the advertising business as well. She became the owner of the company and eventually became the president of the National Association of Women Business Owners. If you've lived in Bakersfield more than a week, you have almost certainly seen them. La Rosa Fruit Bars, the pride of East Bakersfield. The company is celebrating its 45th year, but on August 2nd, it also mourned its namesake, co-founder Rosa Garcia Diaz. Rosa, born in Mexico City in 1937, lived her American dream to the fullest. She was 87. Vietnam War veteran Fidel Cazares passed away September 13th at the age of 74. Like many of these veterans, he was an emotional participant in a Kern County honor flight. His was in October 2019, a flight that brought 101 Vietnam veterans to Washington, D.C. to visit war memorials. Jeweler Don Hall passed away October 17th at the age of 94. He was an active Service Club member who married into the Wickersham jewelry family and was among the first tenants to move into Valley Plaza Mall. Hall was born in Long Beach and went on to attend East Bakersfield High School. He met his future wife, Nancy Wickersham, at her family's jewelry store on Truxton Avenue. Patty Puskarich lived in Oildale most of her life, 30 years, in her house on Esther Drive, and before that in the house next door, where she grew up. She attended 7th and 8th grade at Standard School with writer Gerald Haslam, businessman Jim Wattenbarger, and musician Merle Haggard, who for a time was her next-door neighbor. We'll miss many others, too. And if we're being honest, we'll also miss more than a few four-legged friends. In closing, we'll share one of those with you now. Tonks the Pig, a beloved resident of the California Living Museum. He was a rescue who brought joy to visitors, but sadly passed away February 22nd after a routine procedure. He had gained local fame, often featured in local news and social media.
Lost a lot of fine people
this
past year, but thanks to you, they're gone now, but certainly not forgotten. Good job.
Absolutely.